welcome to Talk and Fight with me, Holly Donovan. Happy Friday, everyone. You've got to love a Friday. Today, I will be talking about what is happening tomorrow night because history is being made. I am unbelievably excited. I've spent a lot of today kind of running about in excitement. Tomorrow will be the first ever all-female card, and it's happening in the UK live at the O2 tomorrow night. It's been a pretty bad time for boxing lately, I've got to say. Obviously, we've had all of the stuff with Conor Ben and the drugs cheating, and we don't know if he's innocent or not. And we've got all of these fights. Are they happening? Are they not happening? And then finally, there is something that we should focus on. And I believe it is what's happening tomorrow night. And the girls are going to do it. The women are going to show that boxing is a great sport, and it can be appreciated and loved. And we have got one hell of a night. There are 7 Olympians on this card. There are 4 world champions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through each fight. And hopefully then tomorrow when you're watching, or if you're lucky enough to be there, you'll be able to know a little bit more about those fighters and how far they've actually had to come, how much they've had to fight in and out of the ring to get where they are today. I'm going to be there and I will be sending videos across as well. So please watch out on Talk and Fight tomorrow because I will be reporting live from the event itself. So also, if you like this show, please hit like, subscribe. Every week I'm going to bring you a little preview of whatever's coming up. So without further ado, let's talk about tomorrow night. We have got Shields versus Marshall. Actually, even the support, which is Mikaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner, that could be a headlining event on its own. But we'll start with Shields Marshall. They've been in the news a lot because Claressa Shields likes to talk. I am a fan of Savannah Marshall, and you might notice that a little bit during this preview, but I'm going to try and make sure that I'm unbiased as possible and just tell you as much information about each fighter as I can. Okay, so let's start with Claressa Shields. So obviously she's from the US. She is a fantastic fighter. I'm not going to take away any of her accolades at all whatsoever. She is 2 times undisputed champion. She is 3 times world champion in different weight categories. She has one hell of an amateur career. She is the Olympic gold medalist. She talks about it a lot, but she really is brilliant. She's a very technical fighter, and all of her achievements, they speak for themselves. She calls herself the GOAT, greatest woman of all time. She says that she hasn't called herself it, that other people have called her it, and she's picked it up. Not sure how much that is true, but she is a fantastic fighter. She's also really entertaining. So tomorrow night, you will see some real attitude in the ring. She's had it all, the whole lead up to this fight as well. Now, she has had 12 fights. She's won every single one in her professional career. She's won them all by, pretty much all of them by unanimous decision. She's had 2 knockouts, which isn't massive when you compare her to Marshall, but she's a very technical fighter. She began when she was 11 years old. She was actually introduced to Layla Ali by her dad, and he inspired her with Layla Ali, however, wouldn't let her box until she was 11. So he wasn't totally convinced about women boxing, but eventually she must have been very persuasive, and I can believe that. So found her way into a boxing gym. Now, she then went on to have this incredible amateur career. And in 2012 in London, we had the first ever female boxing. So it became an event. It was the first ever time. It was unbelievably exciting. And that is when Claressa Shields came over here and she won her gold medal. Now, she had had 77 amateur fights and she had lost one of them. And the one fight that she lost was to Savannah Marshall. Now, I know that this is 10 years ago and you cannot compare a fighter 10 years ago as you can today. But Savannah Marshall is that one blemish on Claressa Shields' record. One. You can't imagine how annoying and that niggling, she wants to beat her so bad so that she can just wipe that clean, so that she genuinely is the greatest woman of all time. However, we've now got Savannah Marshall, the one person to ever beat Claressa Shields. Now, she was actually a favorite at the 2012 London Olympics, but didn't manage to make it through that time. She is a world champion at middleweight, and obviously this is for the undisputed middleweight titles. Now, she's had 12 fights as well. She is also unbeaten in her pro career. Now, the big difference is she's had 10 knockouts rather than 2. Clarissa Shields says that's because she's had a lot easier opponents. However, I'll tell you a little bit later, they have had a couple of joint opponents, and I'll tell you about those in a moment. So let's talk about Savannah Marshall. So she began when she was 12 years old. Apparently she saw some young guy boxers, so some little boys boxing at a gym, and she was like, I want a bit of that, I want to do that. So she went into these gyms. She was the only girl, as pretty much all of that London 2012 cohort of fighters were. They were pretty much the only girls in those gyms at that time. But she went in there as a 12-year-old, demanded to fight, demanded to train. Very shy little girl, but came out of her shell when she was in those boxing gyms. All of her trainers said that they saw this confidence, they saw this difference in her. Quite often she wasn't allowed to spar, so there's some stories where she would have to sit out and the boys would take over. They'd be sparring each other and they'd say, no, you're not allowed, you're a girl, sit on the corner, just watch. Obviously this gave her more of a drive, brought her back. So then she went into the amateurs. She had a great amateur career. She was the favourite London 2012, but things didn't really work out for her. But then she went pro. And the greatest thing about Savannah Marshall going pro is that she found Peter Fury. Obviously, it's that Fury boxing dynasty, if you will. So a fantastic person to have in her corner. There's a great story about how she was first introduced to pro boxing. She walked into the gym and Peter Fury was training Tommy Fury. I don't know if you know him. He's also a boxer. He was also on Love Island. So Tommy Fury is in the ring and he's going to spar Savannah Marshall. And Peter Fury says to Tommy, don't hit her at all. I only want you to defend. And Savannah Marshall is thinking to herself, oh, I'm going to absolutely batter him. This is going to be really easy. She gets in the ring and apparently doesn't touch him, doesn't manage to land a single punch at all whatsoever. And that was her introduction to pro boxing. So she trained with Peter Fury, but then she made the decision to sign with Mayweather Promotions and go over to the US. And she had her pro fight in the US and she won, although she was nothing like the fighter that she is today. And things didn't go well for her. There's stories that she's told where after the fight, her wristband was stripped from her. She was taken out of the ring, told to actually leave the venue. She wasn't allowed to watch the headlining. So she felt like an outcast. She felt like, oh, she's a woman on the card, but she doesn't matter at all. She went over there thinking that she'd get rich quick and have a Lamborghini, but very quickly realized that wasn't the case, and came back. And she went back to Peter Fury and she said, please, can I come back to you? And he just said yes, open arms. And what has happened since then is actually a really beautiful relationship between Peter Fury and Savannah Marshall. There's loads of videos of them talking about each other. And there's this like genuine love that he really wants the best for her, not just in the ring, but in life. He wants her to be able to go out and afford all the things that she deserves and wants. And it's really wonderful. And what a calming voice to have in your corner. So that is one of the reasons why I love Savannah Marshall. You've seen her grow, her personality get bigger, and also her get stronger and stronger. So back to the fight itself with Marshall and Shields. Now, Clarissa Shields says that Savannah Marshall hasn't had any proper opponents. Savannah Marshall says that Clarissa Shields has pillow fists, and there's no way she's going to knock anybody out. Now, they have shared a couple of opponents. They both fought Femke Hermans. Now, the difference is Clarissa Shields won that fight on unanimous decision. Savannah Marshall knocked out Femke Hermans in round 3. Then their second shared opponent is Hannah Rankin. Hannah Rankin is a really impressive fighter as well, actually. Now, again, Clarissa Shields won unanimous decision. Savannah Marshall knocked her out in round 7. So, is there an argument that Savannah Marshall hasn't had as greater opponents? Yes, probably. But there are a few that are shared where Savannah Marshall has shown her power. So Clarissa Shields, we've got someone who's really technically brilliant, has all the accolades to show for it. And then you've got Savannah Marshall, who really has the landing power. She's also really awkward, so she's got long arms. She's really hard to get at. So this genuinely is a 50-50 fight. I know that I'm biased, but when you look at it, you can't make a decision. And when you listen to all the interviews of all the different boxers and the promoters trying to, predict the fight, they can't. They're saying, oh, maybe this will happen, maybe this will happen. essentially, if Savannah Marshall lands a shot, there's a very good chance that she will win. If not, there's a very good chance that Clarissa Shields could win this on points. I'm going to go Savannah Marshall because that's where my heart lies. And obviously, I'm from London. I'm from the UK. But we will see what happens tomorrow night. I mean, if nothing else, you're in for an absolute treat. This is going to be fire. They have been at each other's necks for 10 years. 10-year rivalry here. So it's going to be an incredible main event. Okay, on to our next fight. So this one in itself could be the headline. I mean, these guys also hate each other. They've been in the media a lot. I think Alicia Baumgardner actually lunged at Michaela Mayer a couple of days ago. Press conference yesterday. Michaela Mayer wouldn't even look at Alicia Baumgardner. Where again, this could be a headliner anywhere. It's going to be fantastic. So let's start with Michaela Mayer. She has had 17 fights, unbeaten. She's the unified super featherweight champion. She's done 5 KOs in her career. I'll tell you a bit about her history. So she was a bit of a wild child in school. She actually went from school to school to school. And could never settle down. She was a bassist in a band, so had completely different ideas for her life. But later on, she managed to find boxing and says that boxing was what changed her life completely, that she managed to find some discipline, some purpose, and she finally found somewhere to put her kind of defiant attitude. Now, she was told when she took on boxing, oh, why are you doing this? There's no money in this. There's no money for female fighters. This is ridiculous. And she said, I don't care. I love it. I will be the one to make money. I will be the one to make a success of this. And look at her now. She's doing a damn good job now. She had a fight with Hamadouche, which was actually the female fight of the year. It was really entertaining, really brutal. I think it was her best fight yet, and really shows just how skilled she is. So have a little Google of that if you want. That'll give you a really good idea of what you're up for tomorrow. Really technical fighter. She boxes at distance. She comes down a lot in weight to fight. And Alicia Baumgardner is using this to her advantage in the media. She's like, oh, she's going to have to make weight. It's going to be really difficult for her. But Michaela Mayer is saying, no, I always do this. It's absolutely fine. Yes, I intend to move up in weight category soon, but that's only because I would have completed the super featherweight, so I need to go up. But we'll see how that goes. So she is against Alicia Baumgardner. She came to boxing a lot earlier on. She started when she was 6 years old. And you probably remember her from her fight with Terry Harper. Again, I'm a big fan of Terry Harper. I spoke about her last week. So she's world champion, but Alicia Baumgardner stole that title off her. And she stole it with a massive KO. It was really impressive, the power of what Alicia managed to do that night. It was actually voted the female knockout of the year. Again, maybe Google that and you'll see what Michaela Mayer is up against tomorrow night as well. She's had 12 fights. She's lost 1. That was back in 2018, and it was a split decision. And it says that, well, she says that it has made her stronger, more determined to win, to be better. She is nicknamed the Bomb because of the Baumgardner. And actually, if she lands, we may well see that. She really works on her footwork, prioritizes that. And something I really like about her actually is that she has this really positive mindset. She really believes in thinking positively, and positive things will come out of it. She looks incredible as well. If you saw her at the press conference yesterday, I couldn't believe how athletic she is looking right. She honestly looks like a decathlete. It's just the power in her body right now. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. This, again, I'm going to say it's a 50-50 fight. And it's similar in that if Alicia Baumgardner lands, we might get something really special. But I'm actually going to give it to Mayer. I think Michaela, she's going to have a little bit more technical ability, and I think that she is going to take the win on points. I don't know. Don't hold me to any of my predictions, by the way. This is just it's just what I think. Okay, so let's now move on to the next fight. So these are the fights that are the ones that aren't the headliners. However, I would say they are worth tuning into. They really are. I mean, I've been listening to podcasts all week and I got a bit annoyed actually because they talked about obviously Shields, Marshall, Mayer, Baumgardner, but no one's really spoken about the rest. And we've got some epic prospects on this card and some incredible Olympians, all with their own stories. So I'm going to give them the time of day right now and tell you a little bit about them. So number one is Lauren Price. She is Golden Girl Olympian, basically. So she had her debut fight earlier this year. I was there. It was a very easy win. And this will be her second pro fight. Now, she won Olympic gold, and her story is lovely, actually. So when she was only 3 days old, she was taken in by her grandparents because she couldn't live with her mum and dad. And she owes, or says that she owes her entire career to her granddad and her grandma, particularly her granddad, who drove her to every single sporting training event that there possibly is. And they both just threw themselves into helping Lauren become the incredible person that she is today. Right from the start, it said that Lauren had ridiculous amounts of energy. They nicknamed her Ticker because she just bounced about everywhere. So her grandparents had to find her an outlet for all of this crazy energy that she had. So when she was really young, they took her to all sorts of different clubs, started with athletics, but she very quickly realized that she loved kickboxing and she loved football. And when she was 8 years old at school, her teacher said, write down on a piece of paper your 3 goals of life goals, basically. A pretty big thing to ask an 8-year-old. But she wrote down on that piece of paper, 1, first goal, I want to be kickboxing champion. 2, I want to play football for my country. And 3, I want to go to the Olympics. At the age of 27, Lauren Price did all 3. She completed all 3 of those goals that she set herself when she was only 8 years old. Now, with football, she had to go to an all-boys team because there wasn't a girls' one. And she stayed with that all-boys team until she was 13, and they basically kicked her out and said, you have to go to an all-girls team then. And she ended up playing for the under 16s, and under 19s, all for Cardiff. So she got to play for her country. She also started racking up the kickboxing. She managed to win so many different world kickboxing titles. And then eventually she looked at her list and obviously realized she needed to get to the Olympics, but she wasn't sure what sport to do it in. And she decided that because she was stronger with her upper body in kickboxing, so more of her hands and a puncher, she decided she would give boxing a go. So she absolutely went for it. This is serious dedication. Her grandparents said that, she'd be training 10, 11 hours a week on top of school, never ever moaned about going to training, would always want to be there on time. She'd be the one putting the cones out before anybody else had arrived. So we're talking serious dedication from a really, really young age. So she joined with Wales Boxing, but that wasn't full time. She needed to make ends meet. So do you know what she did? This is ridiculous. She became a taxi driver, and overnight she would work as a taxi driver, and then during the day she would train. This is the kind of person that Lauren Price is. She just will be a world champion. Now, she eventually went into the GB team, which is obviously full time, and she managed to get her Olympic gold. However, the sad part of this story is that the person who took her to everything, who supported her just continuously throughout her entire life, was her granddad. And at this time and throughout COVID, so when the Olympic Games was postponed, her grandpa got dementia. And was getting sicker and sicker during this time. So he didn't actually get to see her win the Olympic gold. And there's a beautiful part of this story that she took that Olympic gold medal home and she put it beside his ashes, because normally she'd come home and she'd show him and she'd tell him. And obviously she couldn't do that this time. So now she is in her pros. This will be her second fight. She's definitely going to win. This girl's going to be world champion. Come on. There's no way she isn't. She is going to be fighting against Timea Belek of Hungary. So she has won 6 fights and lost 6 fights. She's 35 years old. Sorry, she's 30 years old. She's won 2 of her last 4 fights. So, she is having some wins. However, if you want to place a bet, Lauren's going to win. Easy. Okay, so let's go to our next fight. So the next person on our card for tomorrow night is Claressa Shields. So interestingly, she's actually the partner of Lauren Price. So these guys met in the amateurs for Great Britain, and they are together and they are a couple. They did actually say that they would never fight on the same card. They said it was way too stressful. One person had to be the fighter, whilst the other one was the support. However, that went out the window pretty quickly because this is both their second fights. But they have said that if there were ever a card to do that on and to both be on, this is it. And actually, it's quite wonderful that they can go through this and do this experience together. I think that's rather lovely in itself. Claressa Shields, let me tell you a little bit about her. So she is an Olympic bronze medalist, similar to Lauren. So her background, apparently she just had tons of energy. And she went from school to school, a bit like Michaela Mayer, actually, and eventually ended up enlisting in the army. So she's actually an army boxer. She was the first ever female army boxer to compete in the Olympics, which is pretty cool. And she obviously had a really great amateur career, managed to get her bronze in the Olympics, and now she is making her pros. She had her first pro fight earlier this year. Again, really nice, easy win. When the fight was postponed, so this whole night was obviously postponed because of the Queen's passing, her and Lauren apparently went home and they ate loads and loads of cookies, because what they do is they pre-order cookies for after their fights. But obviously there was no fight, so they went home, ate loads of cookies, and then went back into training the week after. So she is against Marina Sakharov of France, who is 35 years old. Now she's won 5 fights, lost 16. She's actually on a 9-fight losing streak, Marina. So again, I'm going to pretty confidently say that Claressa Shields is going to win this. Again, she's going to be on a trajectory upwards as well. So watch out for that one. Let's now go on to one of my favorite fighters, actually. I've been watching her for a while, also a fan of her brother. We have Caroline Dubois. So she is only 21. She's a massive prospect. She's being billed as a prospect because she is powerful. She is technical. She's fantastic. Now, she had a great amateur career. She pretty much got every title that's possible. So she got junior golds. And you might know her because of her brother, Daniel Dubois, who currently has the regular heavyweight belt. He's a big prospect as well. He's going to be in some really big fights soon, for sure. Caroline has a great story. So she was brought up with Daniel, her brother, obviously, and she wanted to fight as well. She wanted to box. She wanted to do what her brothers were doing. And she asked her dad, and her dad was like, no. She, please, Dad, no. She begged and begged, and eventually her dad took her to the boxing gym. Now, she's really young at this point, and her dad says to her, look, if you're going to go to this gym, you're going to have to pretend to be a boy. And Caroline is like, oh, she thought it was a joke, apparently. She's like, oh, that's ridiculous. Thought it was a joke. Anyway, she eventually gets taken to this boxing gym with her dad and Daniel. And the trainer says, oh, what's your name? And she was so shy that she just said, she was like, Caroline. And he said, what? And I think she then panics and she suddenly said, Colin. So she was known as Colin, the boy, all the way up until she was 11 years old. So she trained as a boy, she sparred with the boys, she did everything with the boys, and she was only accepted as a female boxer at the age of 11, and then she was actually allowed to train as Caroline. I think that's an amazing story that she had to pretend. This is the kind of things that these women have had to go through to be there today, which is one of those reasons why tomorrow night is so impressive and so powerful, that she had to pretend to be a boy when she began, and now she is fighting on an all-female card at a sold-out O2 arena in London. It's just brilliant. So she's had 3 professional fights so far. Super easy wins. The last fight she had, I have to admit, I don't think her opponent was very good at all. I didn't rate her. So I'm looking for Caroline to actually have a proper opponent, someone who's actually going to give her a bit of, some trouble in the ring so that she can practice some of these skills, so that she can become the fighter that she's definitely going to be. So she is against Melina Koleva. And she is from Bulgaria. Now, she has won 10 of her fights, lost 14 of her fights. So we've got a slightly better balance here. She's lost the last 3. But as I said, I feel like this is going to give Caroline something that she needs. Yeah, this girl, Melina, she's had a lot of experience in the ring. so many fights. So I'm really hoping that Caroline is finally going to get to show some of her skills to everybody. Very exciting. Okay, so on to the last full fight that I'm going to talk about, which is April Hunter from Newcastle. She's 27. I like April a lot, actually. So she began her pro career a while ago, and she actually had 5 wins in a row. So she was on this great winning streak. Everything was going brilliantly for her. Fabulous. However, in 2021, she fought Kirsty Babington and she suffered a defeat. In the interviews afterwards, April said that she just wasn't on her game. There were no excuses. It just went wrong. Wasn't happy about anything. She was really annoyed at herself, to be honest. However, I think this is a great thing because she then found Peter Fury, who we already learned earlier is the trainer of Savannah Marshall. So she got into the training camp with Peter Fury and she became really good friends with Savannah Marshall. So she has a really great team around her. She then came back and she beat Esther Conacher back in April, which was fantastic because it gave her that confidence. And she wants that winning streak back. And I actually think, you know, all the interviews you see with her, she is defiant, she is determined. She's going to be someone to watch. She's a great fighter, really entertaining as well. She is going to be fighting Erica Alvarez of Argentina. Now, I think this is going to be a good fight. Erica has won 3 fights, lost 6. However, she ended her 5-loss streak back in July. So this girl is coming off a win. She's going to be going into the ring feeling really confident. Also, she's never been stopped. So April might have a job cut out for her tomorrow, but I completely believe that she's going to absolutely smash it. And I think that she's on her way up. Like I think about Savannah Marshall, if you've got Peter Fury in your training camp and in your corner, I just don't see how you can go wrong. I hope I'm not wrong about that. So she was actually a footballer back in the day. She actually played for Newcastle United, which again was really cool. Unfortunately, that career ended because of an injury and she found boxing. And as with all these stories with boxing, boxing saved her. It gave her a whole new lease of life, gave her fitness, gave her discipline, and look at her now. So I am excited and ready for April Hunter to come back and to almost boost her career again, like April Hunter 2.0. So, I mean, I've spoken loads about these top 6 fights, but there are more. So just quickly, I'll also tell you there is Shannon Ryan. She has had 2 fights so far. This will be her 3rd pro fight. We've got Ebony Jones of Portsmouth. I'm saying Portsmouth because I'm also from Portsmouth. She's had 1 professional fight so far, so she'll be looking to get her 2nd. We've also got Jenny Fuchs as well, who's also had 1 pro fight. This will be her 2nd. As is Georgia O'Connor, who's also had 1 pro fight so far. So if you tune in tomorrow night, tune in early because you are going to see fighters that have incredible careers in front of them. You are going to be able to witness their entire career. You're going to be able to watch them grow, watch them get better, see their skills, see their personality start to blossom. I have watched Savannah Marshall for years, and having almost the privilege of watching a fighter become more and more skilled, to have their personality suddenly shine, to have someone be able to really shine a light on them, for them to show everything that they can do is incredible. And it's amazing to be a part of that. And this is an opportunity right now for all of these fighters. They're at the beginning of their career, the ones underneath the headliners. They're at the beginning and you can watch them grow, and they are all serious prospects, really serious prospects. So tomorrow, please tune in. If you are someone that thinks, female fighting, female boxers, please just watch the headlining fights. Watch Alicia Baumgardner and Michaela Mayer. It's going to be explosive. You will have your mind changed. When Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields take to that ring tomorrow night, I think that even the haters of female boxing, they're going to go, oh, hold on a minute. This is quite entertaining. You are going to see power. You are going to see aggression. You are going to see so much excitement. I promise you. I love male and female fighting. I like all of it. And I'm a massive fan of female fighting as well. I know that the pool isn't as big, but that just means that they get shot to the top quicker. It means you get the excitement quicker. 2-minute rounds, that means it's fast and it's furious. It's more exciting than men's boxing can be. So please give it a go. Please tune in tomorrow night. It's on Sky Sports over here in the UK. I'm also going to be there, so check out Talkin Fight. I'm going to be sending videos. I'm going to be keeping everyone up to date. If I can contain my excitement, that is, I will do my best. So I hope you've enjoyed the preview today. I hope that now when you're watching the fight tomorrow, you can be like, oh, that's Lauren Price. She was the one that really loved her granddad. And, you know, just so there's a little bit more behind each one of these incredible fighters. So that's enough from me. I've been talking at you for way too long. Enjoy the fights tomorrow night. I will see you same time next week for Talkin Fight with Honey Donovan. See you soon, guys. Happy Friday.